What does Fiverr do? It's a marketplace where buyers and sellers are connecting, and it's shoppable, and that's already a difference from Upwork. You go to the website and you can shop there actually. So you can. This is logo, for example. You can shop different categories. What problems does it solve? Worldwide exposure for sellers. They can be from all over the world. Some money without the hassle. A lot of creative people don't want administration, payments, marketing, etc., etc. More and more perks, plus subscriptions and pro, which I may or may not talk about because it's only 4 instead of 10 minutes. For buyers, staffing problems, the complexity of projects goes up, and maybe you just need someone for 2 hours of work or so. It's difficult to find someone in real life. And fast delivery, as I said, presentation 8 hours. Cost savings, this didn't cost me too much at all. Reliability, because Fiverr is the middleman there. A lot of expertise there. I would not be able to make this PowerPoint. Worldwide exposure again, so you get the best talent of all over the world. It's fun. And it's fun also because you see the price, you see what you get for the price. And working with freelancers is great, but managing them is not so. And that's where Fiverr can help you. Sellers show their prices very clearly. You see what you get. So basic, standard, and premium, that's the formula that is used. And then you can twitch it a bit here and there and if necessary. Evolution of the company, it started out as Fiverr, $5. If you know Clayton Christensen's disruptive innovation content, then you know that Fiverr is a typical innovator. It started out as very low quality, and it's so fast in innovating it faster and faster even, that at a certain moment, the progress of the incumbents goes slower, and where Fiverr was not even good enough for the low end of the market, at a certain moment it is right now for a higher end. So they are transforming the marketplace to a platform. Legacy is already ratings, just like in Amazon, you get ratings, very good to know. Pro sellers, some people are controlled by 1 or 2% are controlled by Fiverr, and they are very good in their job. They have all kinds of new initiatives. Business is the most important one. So it's for bigger companies who want to work with Fiverr, and you can also subscribe to someone, for example, for SEO. And the overall goal is to increase the stickiness and go up market more and more. The future, only 5% is already online, and that's comparable to e-commerce in 2009. All the rest is still offline, but that 5% is already a 100 billion total addressable market. More and more freelancers will come online. It's already international in 160 countries. You cannot win such a contest if you don't say the metaverse. So you can work in a virtual room in Fiverr. Now, about the stock, market cap is just 3.5 billion, so a huge potential. It has a high take rate, 28.4%, more than double that of Upwork. Gross margins are very high. The EV forward gross margin is just 10. It's a serial outperformer. Great CEO, Mitchell Kaufman, and co-founder or manager of Lemonade. A lot of ownership in there. The consensus is now that it is a COVID play, and that's why the high short ratio, relatively high short ratio. But you can expect high growth for years to come, 25, 30%, even more for a very, very, very long time, just like in e-commerce. So if this company executes well, I can see easily become a 10-bagger over the next decade, or even maybe less. I'm not sure if it's true, but I heard that Kris, if he loses this to me, that he will start boxing and he will tattoo my face on every knuckle. He can get a personal tattoo design on Fiverr.
I didn't have to lose this to get your face tattooed on my knuckles. I think, the first thing I always want to understand for an investment is what is priced in, like what is consensus, and how is your view different, and how does that then drive value over time?
Well, at this moment, I said it's a market cap of 3.5 billion, and it's probably less now. And this is only starting out, and it's only actually in the last year or so that Fiverr is starting to target bigger companies and enterprises. Even they already work with Unilever, etc. And I think that people still see it as the crappy thing it was at the start. I used it in 2015, and I left. It was so crappy. It was only when I read Clayton Christensen's book last year that I thought, whoa, this is Fiverr all over. And so I think that's one of the things that people don't see yet. I think that they do not see that it's really growing very fast in bigger businesses. And if you look at, they only started out, I think 9 months ago or so with business, and it's already 5% of their revenue, which is quite amazing actually in such a short period of time. And then you have to know that for the subscription of the business, it's totally free. It's totally free the first year. And then afterwards, it's $145 for a full year, which means it's not that much, and for big companies it's a drop in the bucket. Then that's, I think, what a lot of people miss. And also at this moment especially, it's just categorized as it's a COVID play. It's a stock that only did so much better because of the pandemic and because of the lockdowns, etc. I think that's complete. If you look at the numbers before, it was the same. Of course, they got a boost. But if you see that in the last quarter, they had 40% more revenue on top of, I think, 82% last year. So I mean, it's still growing, but of course it's not growing at 80% or even 100% last year. But I think that's one of the things that people missing, that think that this will go away while it's just the start of a very, very long. And I see this evolving just like e-commerce over decades, because so much is still offline.
Fiverr's take rate increased to 28%. They seem to have maxed out this lever of growth. Freelancers may not earn as much and leave the platform. Do you see this as a red flag, and why not?
I always find it funny when people use the strength of a company as a bear case. It could go down when they start working with bigger businesses, but I thought that right now as well. And Fiverr has created an ecosystem. And for example, as a seller on Fiverr, you can get your healthcare plan on Fiverr, all your administration on Fiverr. There's Fiverr Plus, for example, which was only introduced this in the last year as well, which means that a seller pays $29 per month to get extra perks like a success manager and more data insights. They can give coupons in that way. Subscriptions is another one, so recurring revenue. While on Upwork, it's totally different. You have to apply to get a job. And on Fiverr, you're just the shop and you're presenting your services as a product, which is also a big difference, I think. It's really made into a product. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Fiverr's take rate will remain very high. And it's not I'm a regular buyer and I pay it, of course. And it's not that I'm unhappy with that, with that extra, because you pay for services, you get that safety, you get that, because Fiverr keeps the money until I am happy with it, and then only then the seller is paid. And the other way around, if I'm being a jerk, I will be punished by Fiverr as well. So it's a great system there, and I think that really makes a difference.
Why choose Fiverr over Upwork?
As a seller, it's much easier. You don't have to apply for a job. It's the sellers come to you. So, and as a buyer, I can just look at products. I look at people's portfolios and say, well, I want this logo, a bit vintage. Look at all the people who have vintage logos, and then choose one that I think has great designs, talk to that person, and then, so it's just, I think it's easier. They have removed a lot of friction over time, and friction removing is very important, as Amazon has shown with the one-click paying or buying a button. And the same thing is happening at Fiverr. That was my shortest.
That's okay. Aisha, did you want to jump in and ask your question?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Kris. So what I wanted to ask was, where do you see, at what level rather, do you see the sales normalizing, so revenue? So right now they have revenues of 70-80%, as you said, right? So, but at one time you're going to expect this to come into the value spectrum. So where do you see the revenues at that time?
Well, I think that, as I said in my presentation, I think that they can continue 25 to 30% for a very, very long time. And if you look at, what Amazon has done with their retail part, then you saw the same thing, 20, 25, 30%, but for a very, very long period of time. And I think the same will happen with Fiverr. This is so early, and, the market will, Fiverr has several leverages, and one of them is definitely the total market, which will go in that direction. And then also because they have bigger businesses, they can, up that revenue per user or per buyer. So I think it can continue for a very, very, very long time at 25, 30, maybe a bit above that in the first years.